Everything I've taught you, nothing is wasted. It's all exceptionally important. But looking at the aortic constitution, they're doing quite well. The truth is that the aortic constitution doesn't really have too much of a problem with their lungs, but they do have problems with terrible isolation. And again, huge, huge depression. Intriguingly enough, I'm finding that people with an aortic constitution are needing their their heart power 5, structural integrity. They're also needing Linden balance, not olive love. Linden balance under special care, which is the crashed immune system. They're doing so badly with isolation, because you know that the aortic constitution loves physical contact, and they're really coping very, very badly with isolation, and they're very, very unhappy and very depressed. It's quite interesting that a lot of people who have an aortic constitution are needing the structure, the red superfit. Some of them are needing heart power 4, but they need superfit 9, which of course is red. But in most cases, they're needing their own structural problem. The Wi-Fi is having a negative effect on periods. So a lot of women who've got endometriosis are really, really struggling with depression, isolation, very, very heavy periods, again, because of the blood platelets, which we go back to, again, we keep going back to the megakaryocytes. So let's be clear, heart power 5, flour formula tends to be either 5. A lot of people are suddenly struggling with toothache. And again, the dentists are locked down, so they can't get out. And again, we know that the mouth and the jaw, the teeth, the structure is very much under duress. So again, heart power 5, superfit 9 often, superfit 10, flour formulas 5, flour formula 13. And again, unfortunately, people in lockdown are getting very greedy and needy, and the aortic constitution is eating lots of cakes and buns and biscuits and putting on weight and then feeling awful. Nobody, and they're not looking after themselves. They're not bothering to get up and put on their makeup because they're not going to see anybody. So they're becoming very disorganized and untidy and just eating, comfort eating. And I've seen this with a lot of people. So the truth is that we have to look after each person as an individual. We've always said that. The virus can hit us anywhere. It can hit anywhere in the lung. COVID-19, whatever it latches onto, it will affect us in accordance with the underlying health pathway of each person. If you've always been healthy, you've very little to fear, but you must continue to care for yourself. So now we come on to one of the most exciting things that has ever happened to me. And I think that was this trip that we did to Gunung Mulu. It was extraordinary, and it was extremely interesting. For those of you who've not met me before, much of the work that we do is guided. And interestingly enough, in way back when I was very much younger, in my 20s, I lived in Brunei, right on the border of Sarawak, and literally across the border is Gunung Mulu. And I'd been there before, I went there before, and interestingly enough, when I went to Brazil and did some extremely important research in the beautiful Iguazu waterfalls, it was very interesting because I had an extraordinary prophecy, which was about Anthony going to Sarawak and going to Mulu. Well, unfortunately, it wasn't Anthony, it wasn't possible for him to go to Mulu, but you went instead to the Nia Caves.
Yes.
And there you found an extraordinary, the Nia Cave rock, which is incidentally in our new formula for the immune system, Moss Ivy. And interestingly enough, I think it was for me to go to Gunung Mulu. So when you arranged that moon, for us to go to Gunung Mulu with our 12, well, there were 12 of us. It was probably one of the most important experiences of our lives and our research, because I do honestly believe that we went there to save the world. And some of those plants that we found, they're all in the new formula called moss ivy. Now, EDS moss ivy, fortunately, is something that we brought in to Malaysia quite some time ago, and we haven't really been using the EDS formulas. But they're there. They're there. They're there for you in Malaysia. So all that research that we've done recently with the Gunung Mulu expedition is now we can make these formulas in Malaysia because you have all the ingredients for the moss ivy. You have all the ingredients.